In Crestwood Heights' peaceful suburb, I lived 3 years of quiet existence at 231 Pine Road, a lovely two-story house with a porch that wrapped around it and the hospitality of a friendly community. I am Jamal Carter, and what started as a quiet chapter quickly became a fight for my dignity, rights, and peace, all thanks to Deborah Langley and her husband, Officer Greg Langley. Deborah, the so-called queen of the Homeowners Association, ruled with the utmost power of a monarch. Platinum blonde locks set in platinum blonde permanents, tailored blazers that cost more than the average annual income, and an attitude of ownership. She stalked the subdivision as if she owned the deed to every inch. Greg, a buzz-cut officer with a paunch and an equal attitude, ensured her wishes were carried out, his off-duty patrol vehicle driving circles around her non-stop, a not-so-subtle reminder of who was boss. They governed together, a suburban regime. Neighbors were bullied into quietness. Most did what they were told. But I wasn't most people. I wasn't going to be pushed around, particularly not by those who misread the color of my skin as weakness. What they didn't count on was my determination and the reckoning which would ensue. The tension began the day I arrived. The Thompsons, a lovely white elderly couple, bequeathed me their precious rose bushes and a kind letter. Deborah, though, considered me an intruder. Her comments were framed in concern, property values, neighborhood charm. Grievances started to accumulate. My lawn's non-compliance, soft jazz on Saturday nights, and ongoing veiled questions as to whether I rented or owned the house. Solar panels? Eyesore. A garden? Not suitable for the community look. A barbecue with buddies? Instantly a disturbance. Though block parties had been a tradition under the Thompsons, Greg's presence was little different. Cold glares, regular drive-bys, and an air of surveillance. Racism wasn't blatant, but it simmered just below the surface. Aggressive, coded, and relentless. All came to a head on one Tuesday morning in September. I was sitting on my front porch, coffee in cup, when Deborah showed up, heels clicking, teal blazer spotless. "Jamal," she cooed, "we need to talk." "Morning, Deborah. What can I do for you?" Without so much as a "by your leave," she climbed my steps and laid down the law. She was throwing the Crestwood Heights Gala that Saturday. Her yard was too small, so she would be using mine. "Perfect," she said. "Roomy, wonderful lighting. Your garden will photograph beautifully. Caterers are already reserved." I blinked. "You want to hold your party in my yard?" "It's a community event," she said brusquely, "not an invitation. As HOA president, I make the decisions." I stood. HOA president or not, that doesn't entitle you to take over private property. My answer is no. Her smile dissipated. "This kind of attitude causes undue tension in areas like ours." It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. "Cooperate or face the consequences." I stepped forward. "You're not using my lawn, and you're not going to intimidate me." She retreated, not used to pushback. "You have no idea who you're messing with. Greg won't stand for this kind of disrespect." That evening, as I worked over my vintage Yamaha motorcycle in the garage, Greg pulled up, uniform crisp, badge shining. "Jamal," he said, resting his hand on his belt, "we need to talk." "I'm listening." "You disrespected Deborah. She coordinates community events. Residents are cooperative. She attempted to take over my backyard." I replied coolly. I told her no. That's a property rights issue. His tone fell. "People like you cause trouble. Loud music, low standards." "Here it is," I told him. "Say what you mean." He took another step nearer. "You can make this simple. Apologize. Let her use the yard. Or I'll be around a whole lot more." I stared at his eyes. "And if I tape you threatening me again?" He winced. "That's against the law." "Not in this state." He scowled. This isn't finished. And it wasn't. Saturday morning dawned in disarray. Trucks grumbled into my driveway. Tents sprouted on my lawn. Cables littered my garden. Caterers trod over my kale. What is this? I insisted. A caterer gestured down the street. The lady in the pink blazer said it was arranged. Deborah, resplendent in a flowing silk gown, emerged, all fake surprise. Jamal, you changed your mind? I did not. Leave my property. She moved closer, voice dripping with venom. This gala will take place, or you'll be sorry. Clear out your belongings, or I will. Her voice got louder for dramatic effect. He's threatening me. Greg came a few minutes later, sirens ringing, with a young cop trailing behind. Deborah acted like the victim, accusing me of threatening her. Greg addressed me. Back away from my wife. Hands behind your back. For trespassing on my front porch? I replied. Disturbing the peace. Threats. As he cuffed me, people began to show up from next door. Some were quiet, others indignant, particularly Mrs. Lynn, retired civil rights lawyer who lived across the street. As I rode with him in the patrol car, my rage simmered. But I recalled installing those 4 security cameras after a string of porch robberies. Cameras that picked up audio. Cameras that streamed to the cloud. Cameras that got everything. Deborah's threats, Greg's harassment. Mrs. Lynn had captured it as well. An hour later, unable to levy charges, they took me home. Mrs. Lynn was waiting. What law did he violate? She asked. Greg bristled. Police business. I recorded the whole thing, she said. He protected his property. That's not illegal. Greg turned to his rookie. You can't record officers. In a one-party state, you can, she replied. The rookie hesitated. Perhaps we should de-escalate, sir. I added, I have everything on tape. Her ultimatums, his threats. Greg blanched. Deborah stuttered. That's illegal. Not on my property, I told her. Mrs. Lynn intervened once again. You abused your power. You attempted to set up an innocent man. That's a civil rights abuse. Deborah attempted to get her caterers into action. They're ruining everything. One of them responded, You trespassed. He told you no. You disregarded him. The staff started to pack up. Mrs. Lynn forwarded her tape to the DA, the police captain, and Channel 5 News. She also posted it online. Deborah's social throne started to unravel. Greg relieved my cuffs quietly. You are free to go. Mrs. Lynn was not finished. There will be repercussions. Within 3 weeks, Greg was suspended, followed by termination. Federal charges ensued. Deborah quit the HOA and lost money on her house. Ironically, property values increased upon her departure. Now, I enjoy my garden in tranquility. I greet Mrs. Lynn with a wave. I have barbecues without harassment. Justice does not always come crashing in. Sometimes it just comes softly, with a camera phone, a neighbor's bravery, and the truth.